Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, let me start this Bava Batra, daf Kuf Nun Zayin. We're going to begin on Kuf Nun Zayin with Alf by the new Mishnah. Says the Mas Nisan, Nafal Habayis Alav. Let's say you have a house that falls upon a person, Yal Aviv and his father. Says the Rabbi, Al Ruvain Val Yaakov. Imagine you have Ruvain and his father Yaakov, and the house collapses and kills both of them. They both died. We don't know who died first. We're going to see that's going to make a big difference. Let's say the house landed on you as well as your heirs. So there is Iksubas Isha on Ruvain. Rashbam says Al Ruvain Ksubas Isha, or Bal Choiv, or maybe there's debt. The Einlo Memali Paraya, and they don't have B'nei Chayrin money, free money, liquid money to pay it off. So, Yarshia Av Oyimrim, the ones who inherit from the father, they'll say that Ben Mace Rishon, first the child died, and therefore he wasn't Yarish anything from the father because he died first. V'yachach Mesa Av, and then the father died. And therefore, since the father died second, so therefore the Yorshei Av are the ones who are going to benefit in that case. So obviously, the only time the Yorshei Av are going to get it is if the son died first. And that's what they're claiming. Says the Rashbam, Yorshei Av oimrim the haben meis rishon. The nafal habayis olav, the house fell on him and killed him. The al aviv koin, then on the father. She Yorshei Yaakov, B'nei Yaakov, Shimon, Levi, Achi, Ruvain. So basically, they're saying that the house killed Ruvain first, and then it killed our father Yaakov, and therefore we, Shimon and Levi, are the rightful heirs. Oimrim haben meis rishon, dehainu Ruvain meis rishon, mekach avua da'av kamina. And therefore we should be able to be Yarish because we're coming from the koyach of our father. In this case, Reuven doesn't acquire anything in the kever, and therefore he doesn't get anything. So that's according to the hopes of the inheritors of the father. They're going to claim that Reuven died before Yaakov, that the child died first. However, there's a dispute on this. Because again, Yoshev Oimrim haben meis rishon, Racha meis ha'av. However, Bal Choiv Oimrim, the Bal Choiv want the opposite. Because Reuven owes money. So they want Reuven to be the one who inherits. Which means they want the father to die, then the Reuven was acquired it. And therefore, when Reuven dies, the monies that now Reuven owns goes to the people that he owes money to. Ha'av meis rishon, v'achach meis ben. So now they can collect. So what do we do? Who do we believe? So Beis Shammai Armim Yachloku. Beis Shammai says you split it right down the middle. All the assets are considered half his, half his. Says the Rashbam, Diafagav, the Yorshei Av, Va the Yorshin. When it comes to the Yorshei Av, let's say Shimon and Levi, they're definitely supposed to inherit behind Mamoin. Who knows Mamanashach. If Yaakov died first, and then Reuven gets it, let's say Reuven had no children, so his brothers will be Arish. And if it was the other way around, they're going to get it from their father. So either way, the truth is that it should work, that they should get, and that's considered to be a vadai. On the other hand, Bal Choiv Suffolk, the Bal Choiv can only get if the father died, and then the son inherited it, but not the other way around. And therefore, you should normally say, because the suffix was medivadai, why would Beis Shammai say that the Bali Choiv get half? You would think they're only a suffix. So the Rashbam points out something important, which is Beis Shammai Shitasai. Ksavi Beis Shammai Shtar Ha'oimin Likvos Kegovoi Dami. He holds that when it comes to a Bal Choiv, the monies that are owed to him is as though it was already collected. So therefore, they're both considered to be vadai, because the document which says that you owe me money, it's ki'il, like it's already mine, and therefore that money's mine, and therefore yachloku. It actually goes to the Yorshei Av, because Hitaka does hold that it's in some moitzi midivadai. And he does not hold, says Rashbam, Cheslos Yorshi Av Shahari Him Yorshin Vadai, Ben Saving Moitzi Midivadai, which means according to Beis Hillel, they do not hold that Shtar Ha'imid Ligvos is Kagavoi Dami. That's goof of the Machlokas. Says the Gemara. Tanan Hasam Hamavis Chavera B'Shtar. A person lends money to a friend. We're going to see this later on in the next parak Pasha, the last parak of this Masechta. The person lends money to his friend with a shtar. Says Rashbam, Afilu lo nichta b'achrayas. Even if it doesn't say that there's achrayas, that if you don't pay me back my loan, that I have the ability to collect from your field. This is like a secured. It's a secured loan. Going mechas mishubanim, it still works. Why? Says Rashbam, because Rabbanan achrayas shel nichta b'shtar toisayfahu. Even though it's not written in the shtar, it's understood that that's the din. And the fact is, the sofer just made a mistake by not putting it in. However, even though it's not there, it's kamisha nichta boydami. Doishadis inshizuz bichdi. Person's not just going to throw their money away. They're going to lend money, and it's going to become an unsecured loan, even though the guy has property. No, it's considered as though there is a lien on this property. Ustam shtar kal islay. A star typically has a coil. So therefore, you can collect you can be goyim nechas mishubadim. Now that is the din. Now al yedei edim, if let's say you only have witnesses, not a shtar, goyim nechas b'nei chayrin, you can only collect b'nei chayrin because there's not the same coil as with a shtar. Now, boy Shmuel poses the following question: a person who writes a kaisel l'chaver, says Rashbam, mishabed ani b'cha b'chayvcha. I have an obligation to you, all my possessions. What is the din? Which says Rashbam, Ud-asid anal lemikni. It's something which is for the future. So, the akni v'kanamahu. I am going to acquire something. Does that work? Iliba dirameir diamadamata devashobah oilam ulotiboyach devadi kana. Even though it hasn't happened yet, but according to the Shita Rameir, a davar shel ba'olam, it's still you can make a kinyan on that. So therefore, same thing over here. Something which is in the future also will work. Says the Rashbam. So kiti boilach alev the Rabbanan. Let's see the Gemara first. So the kasha is on the Rabbanan. Says the Rashbam. Tivan the Paris dekel the adain loy ba'ol oilam. Kana, if a person sells a tree, and then there's peros which haven't grown, that's considered to be a davar shel ba'olam. Nonetheless, it works. A kol shekain to mishabed le karkos tiasol alma, o shedayin lo kanan loiva b'shas hashibud. So according to Rameir, it would work. The kasha is according to Rabbanan. With time can appreciate inam yilmuhu Rabbanan shibud yoser mekinyan do tino delos lefnei lavin. So that we don't want people to stop lending money. So we have to understand, what is the din? So Omer Rav Yosef Tashma, Chachamim Armim Zel Haya Pikeach. This person is very wise. Shemachar las a karka. They sold the field, land, because he can use it as a mashkin, as collateral. Says the Rashbam, a person who produces a document that I owe you money. I produce a document that I sold a field. That the lender sold the field to a borrower. So the document that you produce is that I owe you money. But then there's a document saying that you sold me your field. Shuhu moitzielav admoit. Shuhu moitzielav. Admon oimer yacha haloi v'litain. The borrower can claim, Il chayiv hayisalacha. If I really owed you money, hayil chaporas shulcha mimeni. Why would you? And I paid you money for a field. You would say, okay, thanks for the money. You owed me the money anyway. You're not going to give me the field. Right, the fact that I paid for a field afterwards is a raya, says Admoin, that probably it wasn't a loan. and therefore you're not going to sell me your land. So according to Admoin, that's the shita, that if you have a loan that's questionable about the loan, and then afterwards you have another document afterwards written that the malva sold the field to loiva, to the loiva, to the borrower, so that kind of proves that the original document isn't true. So Chamim oimrim zeh hamalva haypikeach, says if this lender is actually smart, this is what we read, shemachar loiva as a karkan, he sold land to the loiva, sheyochel atal mashkanai, maybe he did it so that now that land is a mashkain for himself. Be'ad chayvo v'lo yochel lidchais loimer ein li liproya klum. In other words, if you owe me money, it's an unsecured loan, and then all of a sudden you come up with money, and you don't want to pay me back, but somehow you have money to buy my field. Okay, I'll agree to it because now I'll have a secured loan that if you don't pay me back, then I'll be able to collect the land. Which means that this land is for a loan that took place before. There was first the loan, and then afterwards is the land that's sold, which could be used as a security to the loan that took place before. It was after the shtar was written. Alma. This land was sold to the borrower only after the chayv. So we see it is meshubed, because that's why he's saying you're pikeach for doing this, because now you have a security on this. What do you mean? But the loan, the sale took place only after the loan. I could understand the sale took place before the loan, but after the loan. So we show as a raya that it does work. It's a raya. So Amalei Rava Minei Kaimer Minei. So he says, person himself, Afil Maglima del Kasve, even on the garment on my shoulders. So says Rashbam, Amalei Rava Minei Bidmia Mekarka Shekana Haloiva Atzma, with regard to the land that the borrower acquires, Veinu Mishubedes Lushum Adam, it's not Mishum for anyone. Heichata maybe Raya Minei Pshita Shiigva Hamalva. How do you know from here that the Malva could collect from it? I feel Magalim al Kasve, because we know he could even collect from his garments. The Holo Kimaboywan El Heicha de Kasav the Achne Vikana, Viachakain Shibdul Acher, etc. Okay, so back in the Gemara. Kika Miboywan, hard question is the Achne Kana Umachar, the Ekne Kana Vahirish, my. So, on this, Amar Rav Chana Tashma, Nafal Bias Aviv. So maybe we can learn out from our Mishnah. Two people were in a house, and it killed them. All right, Avial Aviv, Alav Yal Marishav, Wahaisalav Ksubas Isha. So the man owes, let's say it's Reuven, he owes money for Ksuba, Ubal Chayiv, or he owes people money. Yarshia Av Hayimrim Haben Meis Rishon. So the children, let's say Shimon and Levi, are going to say, oh, my brother Reuven died first, so Reuven was never Yarish, and therefore that's what happened. That Haben Meis Rishon, Vachach Meisov, Bal Chayva Yisayimrim Ha'av Meis Rishon V'chu. They're going to say, no, the father died first, then Reuven, because since Reuven owes me money, so now I'll be able to collect from him. So what happened? I'm owed money, and I'm going to therefore maybe claim that what happened was that the father died, then the son, so now the son who owes me money, I'll be able to collect from these items. Now, so if you want to say what we're saying, then the should not work. Let's say again, let's say the father died first. The Aknehu, what ends up happening, the son only got it after the Chov. So the son already owed the money to the Baal Chayv, and then he all of a sudden now is the owner of this thing. So nevertheless, it's meshubed to the lender. We see that this must be a raya that is meshubed to the lender, even though he didn't actually get it until after the loan. So Rav Nachman Zeira Chavrin Tirguma mitzvah yisem leporei chayvus avihen. Actually, it's not because there's an obligation to pay. There's no shibud. Maybe there isn't a shibud. It's just because when it comes to Yarshim, there's a mitzvah, even if it's not written anything, that you should still pay up your father's debts. Okay. Maskav Rav Ashi, Milval Peh, who? So he says this apparently is a oral contract. Says the Rashbam, V'amai Tativ Mekarkoi Diasmi. Understand, why would we even think that there's any lien? There's no document here. So Gemara says, V'rav V'shmuel Yomer Tavayu, Milval Peh, in a Goyvelum in a Yarshiv Lum no Kuchai. So you can't collect from here. Says Rashbam, V'chiyam Rina Mitzvah Yisaimim. The only time we say it's a mitzvah in the Yisem to pay their father's debts, Tiny Mil Milva B'shtar. That's only if there's a document saying that their father owed money. Mil Kaman Paskinan Hilchas Mitzvah Milva Peg Goyim in a Yarshim of Shalotino Delos Mithni Lavin. We ended up paskining that even when it comes to a Milva Al Peh, that they should still pay it off, because otherwise, if a person's not going to want to lend an older person money, orally, because you're concerned that you'll never get your money back. As we continue to Kuf Nun Zayin Mebez. Ella HaMani, who is our Mishnah like? Ramerhi. As we said before, and our question is according to the Rabbanan, but according to our Mishnah is like Rameir. Rav Yaakov, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. How is it possible that even if you would say that he inherited it, but he only inherited this land after, he was only kind of this land after the Chayiv. So then why would you say that the monies that he acquired, or the land that he acquired, should have a shibud on it? Because you can be mak davar shel ba'olam. Rav Yaakov in our Pekoid Mishmei Ravina, he says like this: Tashma. When it comes to shtari chayiv, hamugdomin psuin. We know that when it comes to a star, for example, the Rashbam says, "Shenichtavu b'yayim tesvav b'Nisan." It was written on the 15th of Nisan, because of b'seicha star be'ach b'Nisan. But in the star, it actually says the 1st of Nisan. So even though it wasn't really written until the 15th, it was predated. That took place even before it actually was. So that's going to be puzzle. Why? Because the asil mitra v'kucha is so tesvav yamim rishainim the Nisan shulkadin. Everyone's going to think that the shibud on the land started from Rosh Chodesh Nisan, but it really should have only happened from the 15th. And if you're going to be collecting lands that were purchased within those 15 days, says Rashbam Shahari Halva Halvasa Haisam Tesvav Nisan. Yomiu Ima Halva Haisam Echam Nisan. If there's witnesses for Kanam Yadai, and he did a Kenyan Lashtabid Nixay Loivel Amalva, Vikasos a star ad Tesvav Nisan, wasn't written until later on. Vikasom of Echam Nisan, Ki Hai Mukdam Kosher. Okay. So that, but generally a star Mukdam does not work. Mukharin, post-dated, is Ksherin. So it's the exact opposite. So you borrowed money in Nisan, but you didn't actually write it until Tishrei. Those kosher, says Rashbam, Shemachalo Hashibud on Tishrei. Even though the lender could have really started collecting from Nisan, so he was Michael Hashib and said, okay, I'll collect for anything that was sold after Tishrei. So Mukharin is Ksherin. Then Mukharin am I Ksherin. Why would we say that if it's post-dated, again, that he borrowed the money in Nisan, but it was only written in Tishrei, why would that work? V'aknehu, it's going to be acquired. So how many Rameir he diamer adamatna shava oilam? Question 8. Shtari chayiv. Let's start off with question 7. Actually, boy Shmuel the akne v'kana mahu kiti boy lacha lib the rabban diamer in adamatna davar shava oilam. Ma hasvar leimer the adif. What's the logic? And this is Rashbam only. The Adif Shibud Mekinyan Davar Shava Oilam. He says, Omimne Shakarka Ba'olam El Shlokana. When it comes to land, it's actually Ba'olam. Oh, Delmura Banan Lashibud Shlotino Delos Mithnilavan. Again, we make an exception because we want people to start lending money, and if it's hard for them to collect, then the people want to stop lending money. Number 8, Shtar Chayiv HaMukdam Psum Mechon Ksher. Madu Amr B'Gemara D'Hai Masdisa Asik Ramer D'Adam Davar Matna Shaba Oil. Why are we saying according to him? Because the Imlo Cain, question 8, Amai Hamucharim Sharon. Why was post-dated would it work? Between the lending and the writing, Kana Haloiva Karka, the borrower acquired land, Vihilo Mishabedes, Ela Rameir, the Mishas Halva, Mishabed de Kana Udakni. Okay, let's continue. So Omra Mishar Shemishmei de Rav Tashma. L'shvach karkais ketzad. When it comes to shvach karkais, how does that work? So hari shemachar sadach haveri sold the field to your friend. Vishbicha, and then all of a sudden it gets higher in value. Ubal chayiv, the balcham comes. V'tarfan, to collect from this field. Kashu gaiva gaivas a karen. He can collect the karen, the principal menuchasim mishubadim. V'as shevach, any of the improvements menuchasim menichayrin. Now, that low mishtabid, that it doesn't work. So, why would we say he collects the shvach? The shvach is only figured out after the loan of the lender. So, Hamani Rameir, he diamar adam machn davar. So, if you want to tell me the akni kana macha, the akni kana v'hayrish, that low mishtabid, that it wouldn't work, ho mishtabid. That does work. What if he borrowed from a second person? Do we say it's only to the first? To the second guy. So Nachman Hamilsi Boyle, and this question was asked before. And was sent the following: Rishon Kaina, that the first one is Kainet. Rav Huna Aimer Yachloku divided up. Divided. Ravina mehadura kamad Ravashi Lan Rishon Kana Madura Basu Ravashi Lan Yachloku. Hilchasa Yachloku. In that case, you divide it up, says the Rashbam. Kol echad lefim oisav. Everyone according to their money, not 50-50. Fine. Meisvei, Ushvach Karkais Ketzad, Hari Shemachar Sadach, you sold your field, Vishvichan improved, Vabal Chayva Tarfa, the Balchav wants to come and take it, Shugaiva Gaiva as a Karen, Menachas Mishabadim, he can collect from the principal from the Chas Mishabadim, that's a Shvach from the Chas Menichayr. Navim Isa Chatzi Shvach Meboile. If in fact you want to tell me Achloku, it should say Chatzi Shvach. So my Gaiva Nam and Ketani Chatzi Shvach. You're right, it means half. Says Rashbam, since he sold this field, because of Achrayas Olav, Yachain Hishbiach Holokech, that it got better, Nimsal Mavolokech, Shneim Nice and Beloiva. So therefore it should be split in half, and therefore the answer is yes, indeed, that is what the din is. Okay, let's look at question TA 21. Matai Shchimira Shtar Chayiv Me'ucher Pasal. When do we say, this is Kufnun Simon base, when do we say a shtar me'ucher is possible? So normally a shtar me'ucher is kosher. However, if he didn't write anything, then that is the din. Okay, fine. So again, normally a shtar chayiv is good. However, in this case, if it wasn't written down, TA 21, then it becomes pasul. Mecharim sulin. So this is what the Rashbam again says. Inami kasu b'yayim shel v'ra'les shemachol heshibud ad tishrei v'lotiful kuchais el metishiv eluch. Okay. Question TB22. Yaakov v'kanamahu kiti bo'el chaliv n'rabban yarmeina b'namash l'ayil. Masva m'lomid adif shibud mekinyin davar shel ba'olam, which is the exact same question as question 7, which is really, again, Rashi only. I wrote karka be'en exists, and also shlotino delos mifnei lavin. Adkan.